We are live.
Live. Can you smell what the podcast is cooking? Anyway.
I think you woke the neighbors up with that.
It's,
Nice vocals on that.
Gonna get into it today. Got some spicy topics ready coming at you. Throw out a little TW warning if you have anxiety or, fear of the fucking... Death.
Yeah. Being dead and shit.
Existentialism. Gonna dip our toes into that.
Feeling out of your body, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm part of an ad right now. Have you ever felt out of your body?
So just in case anyone's out there easily triggered by that, just be aware, and let's dive right into it.
All right.
So, death. I feel like I'll take this one off.
All right.
I'll just pick this one off. So, everyone always wonders what happens after death. We all do. And some people even go as far as saying, maybe when you die, it's all black. Maybe some people, whatever you believe in when you die, that's what happens. But I'm going to tell a story from my point of view from when I died, pretty much. So, I was getting my second surgery for my ankle. And they took me into this room, everything's going to be fine,
Yeah.
They were like, it's going to be okay, we're going to do these, anesthesia, all this shit.
It was like a simple surgery, correct?
Oh, so simple. They were just supposed to take the metal out of my leg.
Yeah.
So just go in there,
Pretty
take the metal
routine procedure.
They said it was routine. They were like, dude, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Because I was stressing. I don't know why, but I was stressing. Like, I was like, all right, fuck it, So I get in there, and they give you, like, the pre-anesthetics, what I mean? Like, they're sitting there, they're giving you, like, the kind of the shit that makes you drowsy.
Yeah.
Before they actually hit you with, like, the good stuff. So they're making me, they're getting me there. I'm almost asleep. And then I was watching them do this nerve block, and they stick this needle, like, yay long into my thigh. So when I, watched it go into my thigh, and it's crazy as hell. Literally they said turn my blood to just almost, like, solid, the nerve block. Make sure, like, the fentanyl they had in there. And it just completely that was it. 17 seconds, my heart stopped. They were doing CPR, all that shit. Finally brought me back. And the only thing I remembered from when I took off was I seen the ceiling, and I was watching, like, the ceiling tile the whole time. And it felt like I flew up to the ceiling, like, right at the ceiling level. And I was able to see through the ceiling and through the building. So, like, everything was almost translucent. And I could see everything in, like, a 360 panoramic view.
This boy was in the fourth dimension, bro.
Dude, out-of-body experience.
So it was like...
Yeah.
It was like being able to see my body, like, watching them, like... I was, like, watching them hover over me, and it felt timeless. And it was the best feeling I ever felt. And in front of me, it just looked like the universe, like the stars, like everything. It was the most beautiful thing I ever experienced. And when they brought me back, I thought I was dreaming. Mm-hmm. I was like, why'd you wake me up? Like, what happened? And, like, they were all freaking out. The one girl, they had to get her water because she almost passed out. Like, everyone in there, because it was like a code red or whatever the fuck they call it, someone coded, and they all ran in there. And, yeah, I woke up all pale, all freaked out. But it felt really good. From what I got from death, it felt really good.
Yeah.
Shout out to UPMC, by the way. They tried to make me pay my ambulance bill. Motherfuckers.
Hey, yo.
Yeah, we killed you, and we're gonna make you pay for your bill.
Yeah.
Literally, killed my ass. They didn't even wait, 2 weeks, not even a grace period. They fucking sent the bill over. $1,200. They're the ones who called the ambulance. They killed me, and then rode me to the next fucking hospital to do tests. It was ridiculous.
Oh, man. Did you have to pay for the test, too?
No, actually, I don't know what happened to the bill. I told them I wasn't paying it, and then I told them the situation, and they just haven't gotten back to me yet.
Collections will be calling you.
Yeah, I'll get arrested for it someday.
Yeah.
Yep.
So did that make you a religious man at all? Did you get closer to any religion? Or closer to peace with death?
I feel like I had something going on with me, for 2 months after, that whole thing happened. I was having these really weird dreams, the same situation, and my girl was actually catching me, staring off into nothing. I'd be sitting there in the middle of the day, staring off at a wall into nothing. She'd catch me, in the middle of the night, I'd wake up and just stare around. It was weird. It was almost like a Lazarus effect type deal. But from a religious aspect, I do have I just have faith that death is a great feeling. That's all I could think about. It's like, it's just a really long rest after a really long life if you live it. Or any life, you know. That's why you gotta live every day like it's your last. Because you can go in for an ankle surgery and fucking die.
You could be driving down the road. It won't even be you not paying attention to the road. It'll be somebody on the opposite side coming towards you not paying attention, and they take your life like that.
I think about that every time on the bike.
Yeah, motorcycles for sure, yeah.
And the rest of the world will just keep on going, whether you're here or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to.
Yeah. I know you had some hot stuff on the religious side of things.
Dude,
Do you wanted to jump into any specific thing?
we could get into that. We could. I was waiting till we got a little bit deeper into all the different religions and sects and all that.
Oh man,
Yeah.
so much to talk about.
You said we had a little conversation earlier, Shane, about you're not a religious person yourself, but you're thinking about adopting something in the future.
Yeah, so I think that religion, for the most part, it's something that you gravitate towards, especially when you're older. You're getting, a little bit closer to knowing that you can't live forever. You've grown with all of these ideas that you won't be here, You have this existential angst, and this is a way to cope with it and come at peace with loved ones passing or your own passing. So I feel like it's inevitable that I do, at some point in my life, adopt a religion.
Yeah.
I liked how you used angst there.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it is, and
Yeah.
I feel like definitely there's religion, there's spirituality, there's cultures all over the world, and they all really say like the same kind of stuff when you break it down. It's all kind of the same stories. Like every big religion has like their own flood, like Noah's Ark and stuff.
Yeah. Their own catastrophe.
But when you break it all down, it's really just that spirituality aspect. I don't like to really use religion as much because it's like cultivated in such a way that, or at least here in America, where like they almost tell you what to think and like teach you how to think about like in certain ways. And there's like a huge like thing like on I've told you about Reddit a couple of times, but it really kind of made me think is like there's Christianity and then there's American Christianity,
Okay.
which and here in America it's pretty much used to like whip people into a certain way of thinking, a certain way of acting. Like Jesus didn't say love everyone but the transgender kid. He didn't say love everyone but like the Mexicans don't like so on and so forth. It's just like no, he said like love everyone and like
that's actually pretty wild.
and that's like
Because
a theme overarching in like all the other spiritualities, but go on.
Yeah, because you have all that, and then you have like the base like faith, which I think most people have. Even when you're hell, I think even atheists have faith in something. I mean, you almost have to believe in something.
Yeah.
Like every day you wake up, you have to believe in yourself. You got to believe in like something's there. You feel it every day. There is something there. But,
yeah, I mean, every religion, like you were saying before, how they take these idealistic values and they start separating, creating more sub-religions. And, I mean, how many religions are there?
Too many.
Did we do a count on that or no? I don't.
I know in like Hinduism or something, there's like 300 or more.
Wow, just in one. Just
Like-
in
Oh,
one
you're
ethnic,
thinking,
one culture.
yeah, I mean,
Hinduism being like the base, and then
Yeah.
all the sub.
I see.
Buddhism is,
Or maybe it's
derived,
pillars,
well,
yeah.
Buddhism is derived from Hinduism.
Yeah.
Yeah. As well as Christianity is derived from Judaism as well. So I mean, there's these stories that are passed down, and then they, people in the church, they have different views of how they think stuff went down, and then they start separating. Now this is a new religion, and it just keeps branching off.
And I feel like it all goes back. I think I forget the actual name of it, but the like first like ever like religion or spirituality practice was just like teaching that like everything's like alive pretty much. Everything has like some kind of like soul in an aspect, or just more so energy.
Yeah,
like the
that's
trees are alive,
yeah.
the grass, everything is like all has this energy to it, and I feel like
It definitely
that really,
does.
and some would even say like that's God. Like
yeah.
God is just like could be literally anyone, anytime, just dressed up in like drag and like human clothing, and
Yeah.
you'd never know.
And that's why they say, like God works through people. You hear that phrase a lot, and it's because in ways he does,
Yeah, it's also why you should always like treat everyone like
Yeah.
with respect and love and whatnot.
Compassion and
Yeah,
Yeah.
so forth.
but
Also,
some people,
some people,
some people, all people, but some people specifically would use. I'm gonna go and just hold on to the Bible because we're in America as a weapon against like other people and other practices.
yeah,
So-
I've had a lot of like, it's like a weird judgmental thing. That's kind of why I don't go to church, honestly.
No, yeah, no, you're absolutely
uh,
right. I feel like
No.
that's a big stigma around churches and religions here in America. Is just like they will demonize and call people out for their differences when it should be all inclusive all the time.
And what's funny is they use church as like this get into heaven free card. And if you really listening to your words, if you're preaching what you practice what you preach, you shouldn't be judging people. You should be loving everybody.
Absolutely.
I shouldn't, go into the house of God with arms full of tattoos and have you tell me I'm going to hell.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense because in the end, this is a show. We're in skin suits. When we leave this earth, we don't take this with us. So it's your canvas. Do what you want with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like if Jesus was alive like today, or Yeshua, his like real name, Jesus Christ is like his title.
What is the other one? Woah or
Yeshua.
Yeshua. Is that how you say it?
Yeshua,
Okay, that's how you
and
say
then his last name I'm blanking, but it's like Hama Shiak or something.
I feel you.
I feel blasphemous right now, but
Yeah, I feel you. We're
But,
trying.
yeah, I feel like if he was here today, is like he'd be like Republicans, conservatives, public enemy number one. He's like, give food to the homeless, shelter them. Like, are you a radical leftist? Like, what's going on? Like,
feel
how
like when he-
socialist, like, are you?
I feel like when he can't, like, when he does come back, or if he does come back, I feel like it'd be more like what are we all doing? Why are people, instead of picking your culture, you're picking politics? You're not one. You're trying to be this thing that is made up for you. It's ridiculous, honestly. It doesn't make any sense.
He'd be flipping some tables.
Oh yeah, he'd be yeah. That Last Supper table, he'd probably dive through it.
But yeah, it's just I feel like a bit ridiculous, and I'm trying to be nice here, but it's just like practice what you preach, and like I feel like as a storybook, calling the Bible as a storybook, but
Metaphorically,
you are pertaining to just these certain aspects here and there, like taking verses out and like using them as swords against other people. Instead of like if you had to read like the whole thing and read the final part of the gospel, it's just like Jesus didn't tell you to like use the words of the Bible against other people. He said the whole like last part in the gospels is basically just like a come together kumbaya moment. Like it's like us against like our opposition. We got to just embrace each other and help each other. I feel like that's the best message.
if you all love each other, what is the opposition?
Hate.
Goddamn. Would you look at that? What people do every day, like, think about how much energy it is to actually hate. Take that into consideration, You go around every day. Think about how much energy you spend getting mad at the world. Like, you watch the news, these people watch the news every day, and they fucking just rage at the world. I don't know.
Rage at the machine.
Literally, you're raging at the machine. You can't change it. It's not like you can go out there tomorrow and, whatever you say right now. Like, there's millions, billions of people in this world.
Yeah.
What are you mad about? Something you see on TV? Like, you're not gonna fucking change that. Just go live your life. Be happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and to revert back a little bit too, we were just talking about right before the podcast, we were talking about Catholics and and Christians, and
Mm.
I didn't even learn until last week that a Catholic is a Christian, and Christian is a broad term for just believing that believing that
Jesus.
Jesus is the Son of God, but and the Bible is the Word of God.
Right.
And then so you take that basic ideal right there,
Yeah.
and then you start branching it off, and there's 2.4 billion Christians, and then 1.2 billion of them are Catholic. Like, this is a huge number of the population right here, and then you just branch off into all of these sub-religions, really, that were all one at one point, and then, like you were saying, literally, like you were saying, though, they took those ideas and they were like, you know what, I agree with this stuff, but I'm gonna make my own religion so that I can do some of the stuff that I still want to do.
Exactly.
That's
Right?
exactly how it
I'm
is.
tipping my hat in here because my family, or at least on my mom's side, are Jehovah's Witnesses, and if you are one, I apologize in advance.
Oh,
But
Oh shit.
maybe it's just my family, or because I'm cutting through.
Cutting it.
Like, all right, here we go. But they, or at least like I said, my mom's side feels like that's it. Like, that is the religion to follow, and I feel like that really, breaking it down, is just like organized religion, these different like churches and everything teaching you like how to think and what to think. Because Jesus, again, going back, he says like, he didn't say, all right, this is the religion, or like you have to be Catholic, you have to be this. No, all he said was follow me, believe in me, and be a good person, love each other. Fucking Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm sorry, but y'all are kind of whack. I want all the smoke right now,
So-
because after reading and going through the Bible, it's just like some of the things you believe and whatnot were only introduced through the person who, or a couple preachers in that sect of religion. Like, oh, you can't get blood transfusions because it's like you're consuming the blood, which the Bible tells you not to do. When it's just like, bro, you're dying.
Yeah.
You're not eating the blood. Just stay alive. Like, what if this is what God wants? Like,
That is
he
true.
wants
I
to
mean,
save you with his blood.
for modern medicine, I obviously it wasn't around back then. There's probably a lot of rules that haven't come up.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of shit that has never crossed their minds.
Well, I mean, I think it's really fair to say, especially as you were saying, people adopt these, and that's the only thing they believe. If you're brought up from a young age that this is the way things are, that forms your reality in your head, that this is the way that things are.
So, on that topic of like looking at it through one way, like you pick a religion since you're young and you look at it through kind of, I'm going to call it tunnel vision, because let's say you're in a field, right? And you're looking through the field, you see everything, right?
Yeah.
Like you're a kid, you're brought in this world, you see the whole field. As you get older, and if you picked one religion, you're building up a wall in your mind that's telling you to just look one way, and it's a very closed-minded thing you can catch yourself in. It's like Latter-day Saints. Okay, so I'm gonna pretty much say that it's the fuck. It was this thing on Utah. It was on Netflix. It was called Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey. That's what it was. And they took all these kids' books from them. Like every book they had that had anything from the outside world, they took it from them. Closed off their community. And think about it. If you grow up and you don't have any other books and you only know one way, you are literally going to be programmed to just think one way.
That's fascism.
Yeah, you don't even have...
It literally.
the...
There's a word for it. That's it.
the disconnect from the access to information.
Yeah, and
they can't.
Like, you're not allowed to get any information because they did it like that on purpose.
They're controlling you.
They called this dude the prophet, right?
Yeah.
What happened was he was a normal guy, prophet, but his dad before him was also the prophet, sent from God. And his dad was very, very weird. They did a lot of weird shit. Polygamy was big there. They had 3 wives and, tons of incest, just bad. When his son took over, it just got worse. I mean, he was like, you need to donate here because God wants you to. So they were working for this money, giving it to the prophet, and then the prophet would leave. He wouldn't be in his, in his house of God. This motherfucker was out in Vegas at strip clubs, bro. He was buying Harleys.
He's living it up.
He was getting tattoos and shit. This man, he was
easy to cultivate, man.
Dude, he was gambling, pounding strippers. Would go back there and be like, I'm the prophet. I need your money.
I have so many.
And by the way, I want to bang your wife.
And by the way, I want to bang your wives and daughters. Yeah, what?
Yeah.
All right,
Every time.
Let me cook here. We have tithing, and then we have mega churches I want to get into.
Oh, mega churches.
Tithing. What you're saying.
Wait, explain that. I don't know.
Tithing. It's when you donate to the church.
Oh, okay. So that's
that's like, you have to donate like 10% of your income to the church or whatever.
For real?
But let me. That's
almost every church does that.
Almost every church. Man. But here, let me get into it, because me as a body, as a human being, you as a body, as a human being, and we are the church. This is our temple. That's why they say our bodies are a temple. Yeah. You're the church between you and God.
Yeah.
And so whenever you pray, you're in your church praying. Yeah. And you can take that as we're the consciousness inside our bodies. Yeah. And our bodies are our church. That's why they also go into like saying you shouldn't desecrate your temple with like tattoos or whatever. But me too. Yeah. But it's like, so I knew this guy. I was working for a company that would go and deliver cell phones and fix them and connect them up. I don't want to name it because they tried ripping me off of my money, and I don't feel like going into a legal battle.
Or beat their ass, bro.
Bro, yeah.
Say it, bro.
But this guy, this gentleman that I met one time, he was like in his late 70s. Al O'Neill Patrick III. And
very specific.
He was battling cancer for a long time, and then for whatever reason he I think went into surgery, and after he came out, he would just in his head pop these words out, and it'd be like an acronym for something. And I'm gonna pull all this around here in a second.
Yeah.
But
cook, man, cook.
And it'd be like words from like an angel or God or however you want to interpret it, but he said Bible, it's like basic instructions before leaving Earth. I was sitting down with him. I was talking about all this stuff and all of these different acronyms and stuff that would just pop up to him. I was like, that is beyond interesting to me. And I feel like if you take it as the instruction manual before leaving Earth, it's just back then in the biblical times, if you were to tattoo your body. And by the way, that whole section on the laws and everything kind of revolved around sacrificial and other religious things. So you shouldn't tattoo other gods and stuff on you. But besides that, it's tattoos got infected. It goes into all the things you shouldn't do, but maybe that's protect you, you know?
Yeah.
How we tell kids, hey, be careful. Don't run with
don't eat that Lego.
Yeah, don't eat
there's a lot of metaphors in the Bible. So.
There's so many ways to interpret everything, and that's why we have so many sects and different.
And
things.
Even the English interpretation of the Bible. What was the native language of the Bible?
It is ancient Hebrew. But
and when you play telephone, how much shit? When you play telephone, how much gets mixed up
over how many years?
Yeah.
I'm going to throw in my hat here. Yeah. And there's a big, mistranslation issue going around with, because it was from ancient Greek written into English.
Okay.
Is, the thing about being gay is actually a dual, syllable or dual, different meanings of the word in ancient Greek. And it said, you shouldn't rape kids.
Yeah.
Or rape little boys or something like that.
Catholic.
Hey, yo.
But
had to throw the Catholic.
I'm sorry, I just had to right under the fucking bus.
Yeah, so it might have even been mistranslated into the word gay for us. So it's for how long have people been demonizing a group of people just for liking a different gender? It's just crazy to me how one little thing just
Yeah.
But
honestly, go ahead, man.
No, I was throwing out a Catholic joke. I'm not gonna lie.
Are you sure you don't want to say it?
I was about to say the priest, man. They misinterpreted love is for everybody.
Well, no. Hear me out. Technically,
Different kind of love.
Love is love. That's what they
technically,
said.
God didn't let them fuck girls. They were like,
Bro, but that's the thing. They could and they can.
but they
It's
don't.
just like the different interpretations, and
That's
got some fucked up people.
Bro,
and they take advantage.
They have
It's
been
like,
bamboozled. Okay, because
they bamboozle themselves.
they bamboozle themselves, yeah, because they're like, well, if I can't, bang anybody or bang my wife, got these nice school kids.
Now,
that's fucked up.
Am I wrong about this? I don't even know where this knowledge is coming from, so I might be wrong about this, but it took 12 centuries after the story of Jesus to even be written down.
12 centuries.
Yeah.
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 It took a while.
So you were talking about telephone.
The game telephone.
Telephone.
When
So
you're a
you
kid,
have 12 centuries of a story being passed down. I mean,
Although
how
it
much?
must have been a powerful ass story. 12
No, yeah.
centuries is a wow.
Yeah.
You think
Long
like
fucking time.
all the miracles and stuff he did, like that shit traveled and got around. It's just like, here's where faith comes in. It's I'm gonna go back to Al Patrick O'Neill, I think, if I can find it. If you have something to add on, go for it.
Also, just a little, heading out there, as like killing is a sin and shit, obviously. Now, back then there wasn't video games. There wasn't Grand Theft Auto. There wasn't Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to toss out there is if you have the intent on running over a pedestrian on the sidewalk in Grand Theft Auto, does that shit pass through to the other side? Do you feel me? Like if you have the intent to kill and you smoke someone in a video game, where does that lie?
I think that goes back to our last podcast with the AI and being able to have interrelations with a giraffe.
That is true.
But
AI, obviously computer fucking generated person, whatever.
But yeah, so going back, a couple centuries later before it's even written down, I feel like that's a huge like span to really like rely on. And don't get me wrong, the Bible, it's like great for ethics and like what you should base your morality on, because there's a lot of good stuff, like especially towards like
great morals. Yeah.
And I think that's where faith comes in. It's like you have to have faith for the faith.
You'd have to. I mean, that's 12 centuries of story being passed down in, you said, ancient Hebrew language and then translated perfectly into English. I mean,
well,
you gotta have faith. You gotta have faith.
Yeah.
They did beat around the fucking bush. I'm sure they could have probably cut 10 pages out just for their long use of English. But
it also didn't help that it's creative in a way, and I like that because it's called the living word. Because each time you read it, you can get like a new meaning in your life. Like, all right, I read it when I was like 12, and I'm gonna go back and read it when I'm like 25.
Oh
and it holds a whole different new meaning because you start learning like about the history back then and like what each thing meant. And then I've heard there's like 3 different ways to read it, like literal, metaphorically, and then like
I had a
secret one.
I had a conversation with somebody recently about, how did humans come in? How did our brothers and sisters, everyone else come together? And it was pretty much a conversation between, were we once, apes, or were there Adam and Eve? Like, and they definitely weren't Adam and Eve because, no, I'm sorry.
So you're talking evolution versus the Bible? Is that what you're talking about?
Definitely. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Adam and Eve just spawned, as adults and started banging, and then like everyone is now just incest. There had to be like, I do believe that it started somewhere.
Yeah.
I just think like the art of evolution as like, from apes to cavemen to like just years and years of doing shit brought us here because,
Well, we do know
makes the most sense.
We do know for a fact that artificial selection is a thing. We can look at, there's the peppered moth that, I forget what country of origin that was from, but if you guys don't know the story in basic, stupid terms, I'll put it for you. Basically, there's a peppered moth, and it was, I believe, gray, and it would go on to these birchwood trees, and it would blend in perfectly. Birds wouldn't eat it. Now, some kind of catastrophe hit, turned basically all those trees black. Now, there was a mutant gene in these peppered moth that made some of them completely black. So those black ones started to outlive the gray ones because the birds were picking off the gray ones off the black tree like easy. So then now that peppered moth is now specifically black.
Okay.
In that region. There's peppered moth otherwise. But also, here's another one that everybody would know right off the bat. Look at a wolf. Look what we did to it.
Look at a
Like
pug.
Chihuahua.
Look at a pug.
Yeah, Pomeranian. A wolf to a Pomeranian, we did
French
that.
bulldog.
Let
So
me-
you don't think the natural selection
Let me cook.
That is true.
could be a thing?
Let me cook. Everyone, it's all connected. Wake up. This is a simulation.
Yeah, actually, this
You're
whole
dreaming.
podcast is not real. Let's go.
Yeah. Get out of here. But no, everything's connected. I believe both are correct. So maybe evolution, like, is how we start up to a certain point. Yeah. Aliens could be a fucking theory. Fucking, like, maybe it's us from the future coming back.
Yeah,
Like,
I heard that. That's
some
a pretty solid point
deep
too there, yeah.
interdimensional, like, shit going on.
That is true.
But essentially what it's like, it just, what does it boil down to? It's like, and now we go like more into like a psychedelic kind of conversation here. It's just like
I like this.
everything's energy. Science says, I like to include science into religion, all aspects, because through my experiences is just like I said, everything's connected. Everything's energy, just slowed down, condensed to a slow vibration. And so it's just like, what is the building blocks? Like, if everything's energy, why can't it pass through like this table right now? Like, what is stopping me? It's these
Yeah.
fundamental forces.
It's a lot of different stuff. I feel like when you bring up, psychedelics and mind altering things, mind altering chemicals, that, they basically change your form of thought while you're, going through those chemicals, while you're going through those trips, whatever you do. Even alcohol, for example, when people go out drinking late at night, if people have never done psychedelics and they're listening to this, if you drink alcohol and you go out, it alters your mind. You're in a different state. You don't act like your sober self. You're thinking differently, you're feeling differently, and you want to do different shit. Now, depending on your setting and what you're doing, if you're drinking a couple beers by a fire, it's a lot different than drinking, a couple beers and going to a nightclub.
You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a drug.
It is one.
A legal drug.
It is. It's the most legal and fucked up drug. Cheers.
How many deaths have alcohol caused compared to, say, marijuana off the top of my head? It's like
Yeah.
astronomical.
Well,
I feel like everything's healthy in moderation. I feel like we need to start looking at how to use it medicinally rather than just blatantly saying, no, this is a drug, this is bad, like you shouldn't do that.
There's a fine line, and a lot of people can't do it. It's like
fine line is education.
the fine line is
Education.
education
Education on it.
on everything. I feel like that's the fine line. Is
Yeah.
people actually aren't educated enough to do shit and stay away from it. To like know when to do it.
So I want to bring this off of drugs right back
yep,
into.
yep.
You were talking about energy. So
Energy, yep.
I feel like we're gonna bring up ghost in every single
single
podcast.
podcast.
Dude,
But
it's all revolving around that spirituality, that religion. Keep
Yeah.
going,
So have you guys ever been to Gettysburg?
No, but I want to.
Yeah. You, Germ? Ever been to Gettysburg?
I think I have. I
So
think I passed through.
or anywhere that a big or even small somebody had passed away in a room or something.
Oh, bro,
You walk in there, you feel that energy.
my old house, bro. Yeah.
So it makes you think. I wrote this in my notes here. Let me get this off the top of my head. So like you feel that. You feel that whatever, so somebody was murdered there. You walk into that and you automatically feel that anger, that everything that happened in that situation,
saying,
you
like,
feel it.
Whatever that soul has left on this
Yeah.
earth, you feel that when you step through that.
Yeah,
almost
so
like a
it's
boundary.
almost like ghosts are like memories, energy,
In a way, yeah.
energy held memories. Or I had this thought. So, do objects have a certain level of consciousness that are able to hold memories in which you are able to obtain those feelings and that energy. You're able to obtain that energy through transmissions of some force of nature that we're not even aware of.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I feel like
100%.
that plays a lot into just awareness and that sixth sense that we have. I feel like you can go even as far as say our awareness is like I'll rope empathy in with that because you're aware of other people's emotions and the vibe in the room. That's like our natural born like superpower. And that's really just picking up on the energy of like your surroundings and everything. Like you can tell like a bad situation is about to happen before it even happens.
Yeah.
It's fucking
Like,
wild.
There's studies
something
with like
there.
twins like after they're born, like one can feel the other's pain and they're like miles apart and stuff.
And what about those kids that have a near-death experience? They're kids.
Mm-hmm.
Near-death experience, come out of it speaking a whole different language.
So, dude, that's low-key what I thought not happened to me, like speaking a different language. But when I came back from, like, what I went through, it just felt weird as fuck. Like, the dreams I was having and shit, like, I thought some whole scary movie shit was starting to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I was starting to talk or connect.
Let me bust it down here. So time is an illusion, right? It's a concept that we made in order to better suit our needs here on Earth.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think you can even say that time itself is just another dimension. Time and space are their own dimensions. We only see in 3 dimensions.
Absolutely.
So we're not really getting the full front of this reality that we're living in here on Earth. Like how the mantis shrimp can see like so many more colors than we can. Like the entire wave of the spectral like form of light that we can see is limited. There's like
very limited,
so much we're not like picking up. I feel like as humans we have like filtered that out though through evolution. Like why would we need to see like these spirits and like these other energies that
we don't need it to survive.
Exactly.
Did you hear about the experiment when they gave LSD to blind people?
I have not. No. I might have.
You should look it up sometime. It's great. They give LSD to blind people, hopping back onto the drug train. But they were able to feel and even depict some colors, some different shades while being blind.
Imagine seeing a color for the first time in your life and trying to describe it. I feel like the only one that I personally could describe would be like red. It'd be like a warm, warm. That's the only way I know how.
But then you would say it's warm. Yeah. See, we can't describe colors. We could have all learned this background is green, but to me, it's this specific color. To you, in your head, you're always taught that this is green, but it could look to my blue.
Yeah.
And it could just be all altered. And we have no reason to think that we all see the exact same colors.
Because we actually don't. Everyone sees it. Everyone sees it differently.
I haven't heard of like colorblind people in a minute. Did they just disappear?
No, they're still around.
They're out there, bro.
Yeah, no, exactly what you're saying. And even let me cook here. So I had like pretty horrible depression for a lot of my life, and for the last couple like year and a half or 2 years since I had my like big thing, I'd like to say I was cured. I had like really horrible anxiety though after this event, but at the stage I'm at now and through like all my like other psychedelic experiences that were like lifting, and I'll shout out to medicinal mushrooms, but they cure depression and whatnot.
So this is what you took to get over that hump of anxiety and depression.
Because
was it a microdose or did you take?
There's in between. I went back and forth.
There was some macro and some micro.
Some macro, yeah.
Okay.
But,
all right, continue, sorry.
Yeah. Where am I trying to take this? So, depression. I was seeing the world less vivid. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like everything was more bland. Everything was a lot less fun and enjoyable, obviously.
Yeah.
But people, our brains, we're really like living in our own like kind of world that no one else can really like experience. And like you're saying, like someone with that is experiencing a less vivid world than you, like any of us would be living in right now currently.
Yeah.
It's like
And I mean, you experience time a lot slower too when you're depressed, which also you brought up dimensions to revert back a little bit, but you brought up dimensions and how time could be its own dimension. But then also we don't even think about this third dimension we're living in. If you think about this in your head, you have never been at a place if it hadn't also been at a time. You know what I mean?
That is.
So we are right here, right now,
Very That's a wild
in
thought.
the third dimension, but we're also at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's
so
why,
I mean, is it like you said? I mean, we can't. I think the separation
It's your own
between
experience, yeah.
See, I think because time is relative. You can even see that with gravity being able to affect time. But
Gravity affects the time of your life too. Yeah,
but
affects everything.
So where was I getting with that?
dimensions.
Yeah, so I think the separation of time being a dimension or not. Man, I had it. You interrupted me, go. I'll think about it.
All right. I'll
so
switch.
go on with your dimensions. Didn't you want to bring up dimensions?
A little
Anyways.
bit, and I'll break away into quantum theory and whatnot.
Yeah.
But science agrees that there are at least 11 different dimensions on top of our, well, including our own, the third.
Yeah.
But all on top of each other. And I'll go this way with Stephen Hawking. Before he died, he had written up mathematically there are different worlds or multi-world theory, whatever the term is for that. And I'd like to think of that as all these different timelines on top of each other, and depending on which way we go, if I want to drink this drink or this drink on the desk, there's two different realities that I picked for that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
branches off.
And,
I do remember what I was gonna say.
Okay.
So if we're talking about time as its own dimension, the split between that would be our access to time. So right now we're a slave to our path that we're on. We're a slave to the present, always transitioning to the future and never being able to go to the past. So obviously it's relative to people, so it moves at a different pace, but that's always the linear way that we experience time. Now, if we had a fourth dimension, if we could think of the fourth dimension as time itself, then you can think, you'd never be able to, if we were in the fourth dimension, you'd never be able to ask when you're dying or when you're being born, because it's always happening all at once, and you can access time as easy as moving forward, back, up, down in this dimension.
At the same time, the third dimension, it being linear, is the most beautiful way you can live, because the choices you make, you kind of have to live with. If you were able to go back and change everything and keep doing it, somewhere along those lines, fucking with time and those different dimensions, you would automatically just keep wrapping around. It would be an endless cycle because you would keep going back and picking different shit because you felt like this was a mistake. And it wasn't.
Or you try stuff out, especially those intrusive thoughts that you're just like, you know what, let me just do it.
You hit a quick save real quick.
Yeah, and then you just go back. You got that click remote, you're like, you know what, I'm going to do it real quick. And then you're like, oh, okay, I got that out of my system, let's go back. Now that reality still goes on.
Yeah.
So
I think overall, hear me out on this, depending on each and every decision you've made, affects all the other timelines consecutively, merging in and out of each other, and eventually, when we get to the end, it's just all right, what's we group them together, and it's just that's you. And were you good? Were you horrible? Were you meh, so?
How do you feel you were?
Yeah. And
what
what
do you
if
think you were?
you're the only person right now in this room, and everyone else around you is just here to test you and see what different aspects and attributes do you have? What do you care about and what don't you care about? This is all one big, long test just for you. And then God is just well,
He's grading it at the end.
Yeah, he's just
He's gonna
great.
grade
He's
it,
got
okay.
your paper.
He's gonna bring in all
Man,
your
you spelled his name wrong again.
all your professors and teachers, which are around you all the time. They're gonna come in and grade you at the end of this big long test.
And you
Which
can
is pretty
even
wild.
say, like, to the extent of that is like, there's a whole different, so many different theories on these subject, and I love it. But it's just like, you do that, and then like, the next life you're me and I'm you, and then we continue that process until.
In a way, with you still living in this life, when you pass on to the next dimension, you go through a portal to wherever you go after this life. Technically, the energy you left behind, the people you took care of, everyone you came in contact with, they kind of have a say on how you treated them and what you have done with them and the things you've helped on how you get passed forward. So it's like God can also grade you, and these could be the teachers around you, but also everyone that spends time around you before you pass, they get to grade you on how everyone remembers you. Think about that.
Yeah. I like how we wrap that back into religion. I think it's also fair to say there's great there's great roots of religions, and then there's Scientology.
And then
Where we got
Tom Cruise.
Dude,
We
yeah,
got
no, it
the-
definitely wraps all into each other, and like science is like coming full circle back to spirituality and aspect. And this is where I'd go into quantum theory. But I'll let you go first.
Well, I was just about to say. I mean, there's religions and there's bullshit religions, and I'm just saying.
Wow.
All right.
All right.
Wow.
Listen.
There was no fucking filter. Go ahead.
Scientology was literally created by a science fiction author. This dude walked around with a robe with a bunch of medals that he gave himself for various awards.
It's kind of goated.
And he
Not gonna
even
lie.
stated that he was going to create his own religion before he even did it. And it's like, all of these people are following it. That's a bullshit religion.
My only basis of Scientology is the South Park episodes on it, and it was just
Yeah.
like them like
They exposed
animating
Scientology, bro.
Dude, yeah, it was them animating it, and in the like caption, it's just like, this is what they actually believe. It's
Yeah.
like some multi-dimensional alien race that came and gave like human souls or whatever. I'm just like, hold the fucking phone. Like,
Yeah.
to an extent, like, okay, like.
Listen, it could be, but
No-
you're
no
looking
one's
at the
really
roots
doing
of it.
that,
You're
but-
looking at the roots of it from this science fiction author
Yeah,
who was
yeah.
out of his mind in the first place,
Yeah.
But
who became a cult leader, and
I mean,
now all of the, I mean, before the internet and before South Park exposed Scientology for what it is, you had all of these really famous and rich people in this group, and then more people are coming up into the actor sphere and into that community, and they want to be big and they want to be casted by these people, so they're going to join Scientology because that's the community that everybody that's really rich and famous is in, so then they find comfort in that, so why not?
from his point of view, you know, the guy you said has, you know, he has all these medals
That he gave himself.
that he gave himself. And he built this religion even before he did it. I mean, he set out to do what he did. I mean, I gotta give him a little bit of credit. He told everybody that he was gonna do religion, and they still followed his ass.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts.
It's like FTX, man. You show enough Tom Brady-like faces, and people will follow.
Wow.
so, you know something crazy
What's
that
that?
I just like, I was doing a little bit of research into, watching a couple YouTube videos that were valid, let me say that.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard
Yo,
of
YouTube gets a bad rep, bro, but you can learn anything off of YouTube.
I learned almost everything.
What do
off
you-
YouTube.
what do you call
That's
it?
my education.
A YouTube University.
Yeah,
YouTube
YouTube University,
University.
man. Right there.
Well,
I
Alright, go on.
graduated from it.
Have you guys heard of the observer effect?
Observer effect.
I could probably guess it,
I
but take it.
almost for a fact.
You and everyone listening, everyone watching, whatever you're looking at, you have an effect on.
Yeah.
And this goes for everyone. That kind of creates our reality. But let me get into it. Scientists did this experiment.
Yeah.
I'm going to butcher a lot of this, but hang with me. So it was like they shoot these particles through a slit, and they're
Yeah.
like, all right, it's going to, like, they predicted it's going to make this pattern.
Yep.
But instead it made like a completely different pattern. And it was like the double slit experiment, because
Yep.
there's like two splits or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know where I'm
I
going
know
with
exactly.
this.
Like in
where you're
parallel
at.
or like what?
They're like
what
right
is it?
next to each other, and they just shot like one particle. Well, before that, they shot a bunch, and they're like, oh,
Okay.
that's weird. And so they went and just shot like one particle at a time, and it still made like this wave pattern on the other side. And they're like, well, that shouldn't be happening. And so like whenever they went in, because like there's 2 slits, and it would make the same pattern even if like they were aiming at like one or not.
What were they shooting it through? Like, you know,
I don't know the exact.
Was it like a particle accelerator? Like, what?
I don't know
Again,
exactly
I don't know the exact-
how. Yeah, I mean that's getting into.
Hear me out. So they're shooting it through, and they're like, all right, well, it should just be like either going through slit A or slit B, and they weren't sure like which one. And so what they found out was like it would be both. It would just be both. And here we get into like the quantum theory aspect of it. And so they zoomed in, and whenever they like really focused and were like observing the particle being shot through, it would then specifically choose B or A, and it'd make a different pattern on the other side.
Yeah. Wow. Whatever was being observed.
So whenever they like weren't observing too close, it'd be like this specific pattern, and then when they went to observe it, it was like, oh, you're not supposed to be fucking looking at this.
So wait, in other words, if you're doing something, right? If you're doing something and you're good at it, so like let's say, for example,
Cameras, you're bringing that up.
Dude, pretty much cameras or anything else, like if you're doing something, let's say even you're back in school, you're doing a test, you're working on a paper, and that teacher comes behind you and looks over your shoulder.
Yeah.
That starts to change kind of your whole aspect of what you're working on. It's like
Your whole energy field.
if somebody's watching you do what you do, the chances of you fucking up are a lot higher because now you know it's on. It's like if a camera hits you. Like if you're recording yourself doing something, you tend to fuck up more.
Absolutely.
Because it just changes everything. It's not you. It's like, okay, I need to repeat this. I need to do it again to get this while someone else is watching me, which in fact makes the change due to the observation. Yeah. It's full circle.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
The observer effect. Go look it up if you haven't.
It's the double split experiment.
Yeah, double split experiment. Yeah. And so, yeah, particles will act a certain way until you, like, really go up and observe, like, the particle aspect of it. And then they behave a different way. And it's just like, what? Like, that does not make any
doesn't
fucking
make any
sense.
sense.
That's insane.
Our
The laws
reality,
of
like,
physics.
everything, like, we know, like, I like to talk. I like talking to him about this. Is like, even, like we have words for things. We identify objects and like concepts as a certain thing. Like I was like talking to him. I was like, "Yo, your truck. We could just be calling it a squirrel this whole time,
and it's been a squirrel.
And it'd be a squirrel.
Ever since, bro.
Like that's how we identify it as. And the same thing with like time and space. We've already like have these preconceptions of them when they could be like altogether different things entirely, like connected to each other.
Vocabulary is very limiting for sure for our minds. To define everything that goes into our minds into words.
Dude, we're even limiting ourselves by doing that too.
Yeah.
Like, I had this whole conversation kind of with this spiritual girl I was seeing at the time. It was over duality, and like she was trying to say, well, be like, this is how it is because of this, this, and this. I'm like, yes, but at the same time, duality, we might not have the full picture of like duality. Like we could be super zoomed in on this picture and it's duality. Whenever if we zoom like all the way back out, it's like all these other concepts and stuff combined into one.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're like, that's with everything. Like our own reality is like, what is this if we zoomed out? Like
even the Earth. If you zoom, if an alien invader is observing us right now, what are they seeing? They're seeing all of us gravitate towards one person in power, and that person in power has weapons of mass destructions that can wipe out other parts of the Earth and make them uninhabitable for themselves, and it's all over land.
It's all over territory.
They're monkeys. They're territorial apes.
Literally
fighting over land with weapons of mass destruction.
Skin suits with weapons of mass destruction. I mean, you can't break it down any more better than that. I mean, wars since time, it has been about territory. All the time. What do dogs do when they piss on a telephone pole? Marking their territory. It's animalistic.
You know what you call like spirits and like energy. Energy is like the strong force, weak force, gravity, yada yada yada.
Okay, I got
They're
you.
like invisible forces that act upon like objects.
Yeah.
Is that what spirits are? Wrapping this back around into spirituality, religion, you like that?
Yeah.
But it's just like, and bringing up Jesus again, because I loved how like he interpreted this. He always spoke in metaphors, and it's just like, I'll get into that too. But it's just like spirits. He referred to them like, or as of like the wind going through the forest. Like you can't really perceive like see the wind,
Yeah.
but you know it's kind of there. It's like this energy.
Yeah.
It's just like going through.
You could hear it and feel it.
And maybe that's why faith became so strong. All of these metaphors about energy. Everybody knows that there's something there. They don't have words to describe, but they can feel, and they can't see it. They can't sense it, but there's something. So then maybe that's why faith became so strong, because that's also something that's almost a very lazy word to describe something.
No,
That-
absolutely. I see where
yeah.
you're coming with that.
Yeah.
And also in the Bible it says like the spiritual world lies like on top of our world.
What?
And it's its own thing. So maybe it's another like higher dimension.
Yeah.
We just need to vibrate
And we
high
can
enough
feel
to...
it.
What?
And maybe
feel it.
maybe psychedelics is that way too.
It is.
So our
that
brains have like
gateway.
filtered it out,
Yeah.
and that's like
And maybe
Bring
we
it back
can't
in.
go there physically, and the only way to reach these higher dimensions is going through your consciousness. And your consciousness can travel there,
Yeah.
but you can't do it physically.
No.
I mean, have you guys seen all the things that they're doing with, I believe it's DMT, where they're
Yeah.
starting to map out that DMT realm?
Absolutely.
They're giving people, there's actual funding for this now.
There should be.
they're liquefying DMT and like slowly drip feeding it
Yep.
into the patients.
So that it lasts a lot longer, and those people stay in that DMT realm.
God
because-
bless them.
Yeah, and I mean,
That's
but
nuts.
the crazy part is, even people that are like, oh, you're a drug, you're doing psychedelics and whatnot. All of these people that they've done experiments on have all came back with this one drug, and they're all talking about the same exact place,
right.
and they're having the same experience.
It makes
and,
you wonder.
and it makes you wonder if you're really traveling to a different dimension or a different realm or a different reality, where you could just reach it through your consciousness. You can't go there physically.
Let me cook.
Let's get it.
There's
Let 'em
this thing
cook.
called Kojo's Trick Lab, right?
Okay.
You know what
I haven't
that
heard
is.
that. no.
It's trickers. They use it to like learn how to do like different flips and tricks and moves and all that. And I pondered this one day while I was like meditating. I was like, that is to us like flippers, gymnasts, and everything as meditation, or how am I going to say this? As psychedelics are to psychonauts. So by that I mean those who didn't have Kojo's Trick Lab had to learn everything on their own. And let's say that's the baseline for monks is meditation alone. No
Okay, so
cheat
how
codes.
do you reach this trick lab that you speak of?
The
Like-
internet.
So yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
so-
yeah, it's
okay.
like yeah.
Let me.
Okay.
So that is like the cheat code to learning how to flip is Kojo's Trick Lab. Whereas someone who doesn't have that has to just learn on their own, figure everything out on their own.
Okay, I get
Um,
where you're going.
Yeah. And so monks, they spend their entire lives trying to reach this higher like vibration, higher plane of like consciousness through hours, days, weeks, years of meditation. And psychedelics is like the Kojo's Trick Lab of meditation. And obviously it's a pretty brutal way to do it, because if you're not ready at all, like
It don't
your
matter.
third eye's being torn open,
Yeah.
you're being force fed like all these different like aspects and concepts and things you never even thought about before.
beautiful.
Can I put that into easier terms in case
Absolutely.
people are getting, because I was getting confused a little bit with the
It's
Jojo,
a metaphor,
what
pretty
is it?
much.
Yeah,
So
it's
Kojo's-
just a
well,
metaphor.
Okay, so if you take something as simple as cooking, so you take somebody that's never cooked anything before, and you give them YouTube with every cooking lesson they could ever imagine, that access to information of cooking. One person starts with no access to information, one starts with access to information. and that person's a professional cook. So you take, like you said, who'd
It's
you
a
say?
cheat code.
Yeah, who'd you say?
Kojo Strict Lab.
No.
A monk.
A monk.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll take a monk and meditating. So they meditate to release that natural DMT in them to reach this other realm or whatever. That's their access to information. Whereas if you can't meditate yet, you're starting with no access to information. So it all goes back to that access to information. If psychedelics is an access to information,
It's
just like
And
YouTube
where
is.
are we accessing that though? Whenever we are on these substances or medicinal, whatever.
Yeah,
have
where's
you.
that information
Where-
really coming from?
and
where we're going?
They're
with it.
called downloads in the psychonaut community. That you just like
You keep saying this word psychonaut. What's that?
psychonaut. It's like
It's someone who
Does psychedelics?
It's someone who
psychedelics.
does it a
Someone
lot.
who wants
Yeah.
to
psychonaut. They want to reach that side and they want to stay in the mindset of that side.
Gotcha.
So they keep going back.
Yeah.
Psychonaut.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just exploring
I'm here to
different
learn.
realms and all that.
Yeah.
Just psychonaut. Yeah, pretty cool.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I had my days, but
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much they're just trying to reach this certain level of consciousness to understand, what they are, just understand the world better. That's pretty much what monks do through meditation. And if you're a closed-minded person and you do psychedelics, you might come out the other side as a seriously different person, and probably for the better, because you are now torn open to thinking about so much different things, especially self-reflection when you're doing these things. Because not only is it looking at the world through a different lens, it's also looking at yourself, almost looking through a mirror, like, how could I be better? What have I been doing?
it destroys the ego.
It destroys the ego, which
Yeah.
the ego is what makes a lot of people possess anger, emotional issues, hatred, all the above. Because when you have an ego, you have something to prove all the time. You're always ready just to snap at the next person and try to show you something. You can't take constructive criticism. You just always gotta be on edge.
It's also it goes into like your possessions too. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I need like this new phone, or I gotta have this to like show off my status and everything. When base reality is like, we're just like a bunch of fucking monkeys and shit going around. It's just like we don't need anything like to be
No.
happy. All we need is just like ourselves, and just like, again, go back into Jesus saying, it is tougher for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. And it's deep when you go to think about it,
Yeah, I'd have to
because
think
that
about that
rich
one for a
dude
while.
cares more about his possessions than other people, or even like trying to get into heaven, or so on and so forth.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, in a way, obviously you can't take anything with you. So there's a whole bunch of different mindsets and a bunch of different theories and faiths that play a toll in what people are thinking, either materialistically or, physically, mentally, all the above. A person with money, a rich person, could still be good. There's nothing telling
Debatable.
you they can't be.
no,
Ah,
I mean it's facts. They can be good.
they can be
for
good.
sure.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, some people need an ego death to move on from where they're at. I've also heard a lot that and this is going back to education on drugs and things like that. Certain things are really beneficial unless you're already pretty messed up. If you have a family history of being schizophrenic, and you take a mind-altering drug and it trips that, and then for the rest of your life, you can't get over that.
There's what, HPPD?
There's HPBPD. If you have BPD, borderline personality disorder, it goes into like bipolarism, all these different things, and you definitely should weigh your options if you have any of these symptoms, or if you think that you might have it, because I've known a couple people that they are now on medication because it was just like they have these trips, and I feel like it just goes such a certain way and it sticks with you, and then you get hung up on this idea that you can't let go, and that's where it really starts to boil down and comes from. It's just like these experiences you can't get over, and it just drives you into like that state of madness.
State of schizophrenia. And
Yeah.
viewer discretion advised.
There are risks.
There are risks. Do not go out there psychonauting it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You better do your education for sure.
Definitely.
And that's a big reason why I try to not take any sort of drug that would make me feel a loss of control, because I can't handle that. I can't, like, even drinking too much. I monitor my drinking because I won't drink too much.
No,
But I can't drink too much because then I feel that sense of loss of control. I can't control, what's going on. Like, I have this alteration going on right now. Like you said, like, not in the alcoholic sense, but if I were to try shrooms or something, mushrooms, and then my third eye open up, and then I have all this information coming at me, and I'm forced to deal with all that information. That loss of control, I would not deal with.
It's not a loss of control. In other words, that's different ways of looking at it.
Yeah.
Because in another mindset, it's truly thinking like, wow, like I have such control over all these things, and how could I make them better? How could I change?
Yeah. Well, it's also the mindset that you go into before you do it, and I can't.
I'm very optimistic.
I
can't,
so yeah, I was gonna say
optimistic.
I'm just somebody who can't get over that. At least currently where I am, and I have been in my life, I can't get over that, and that's why I personally can't do them. But I see the benefits of them for most people.
Definitely set and setting, how big the dose is, and then you have to go into it. You can't control it, or else it'll control you. And whenever you, like, say, are starting to have a bad trip, you just have to let go.
Yeah.
Just like,
fight.
When I was, like, first tapping into LSD, like, I thought, like, I was going to have a seizure, like, each time. And then whenever I was sober, I was just meditating, and I was just like, if I did, you just have to be okay with it. You have to let, you have to let go, and then as soon as, like, it was like, all right, well, if I do, I do. It's going to be what it is. The fear of having a seizure just left. And I was having a much better time.
Getting over that angst.
Getting over that angst and not having that fear, because it's like...
Maybe I need a religion now.
Yeah. The thing I feared most about was just having, like, a seizure and everything. It's a possibility, don't get me wrong, but, like... That's what was controlling me, was my fear of that situation happening, when I should just have been, like, accepting it and moving forward.
In a way, with, like, the same thing you're talking about, to, like, toss out, like, a metaphor for that. When you're doing extreme sports, you're doing anything in life, when you are doing it scared or unsure,
you're going to fuck up.
You're going to fuck up. It's probably not going to go well. Like, if I was riding my motorcycle going, like, fucking 130, and I was like, oh, I'm going to die. Not the right mindset. I'm not even thinking that. I'm thinking, fuck yeah, let's see if I can go faster. If you're thinking, I'm going to jump off this cliff, try flipping the water, and you're like, oh, what if I slip? You're going to hold yourself back a lot thinking like that.
Well, I have a good experience with that, actually.
Did you slip off a cliff?
No. But
That's a bad experience.
My senior year of high school, I went to the skate park, grew up in the skate park. I had some injuries. Never some major injury happened. So we had some big games. We had a huge season coming up. It's my senior year. It's my last time being able to play high school football, and I wasn't thinking about college to begin with. So it's my last time playing football in general. So I go to the skate park. I'm getting hit up by everybody for the first time. Everybody's hitting me up saying, hey, don't get hurt. We need you for this season. We need you for this game. And it just put that in the back of my head. And I was like, I'm going to be careful today. The first only time that I had a major injury at the skate park, I shattered my ankle. I just tore so many things up. And it just goes back to that idea of what mindset you go into it is going to be your outcome that comes out of it.
The day I broke my leg, man, the day I tore everything in my ankle, broke my leg, it was the same shit. I was like, I'm going to take my dirt bike for one more. It was literally, I was going to load it. Before I loaded it that day, I was like, I'm starting up, go one more time. I'm going to climb this last hill. That was my last hill that day.
Yeah.
And it was just that mindset of before I went out, I was like, oh, and by the way, if anyone's going to get anything extreme sports-wise, anything, if you're trying a new hobby that's kind of dangerous, never, ever say it's your last one. Say, I'm
Just
going to do
one
it.
more.
No, never say just one more. Say, I'm going to do it a couple more times. And then
Yeah.
stop. Never say it's your last one.
Oh, listen, I had so much
I have a superstition towards that.
I had so much muscle memory built up, but because I had these 3 people over here telling me, we need you for this season, and then these 3 people over here like, oh, please don't get hurt, you know, I like watching you play football, like, that just in the back of my
I
head.
think people just need to stop being like, hey, don't get hurt.
Yeah,
stop
I mean...
Stop
Yeah.
caring
Hey,
about
no
us.
break
Stop
leg,
telling
man.
Yeah,
people.
tell me to just have a good fucking time.
But no,
all
I feel
right?
It's just, to get over it, I feel like you have to just, like, accept, like, finding that acceptance, like, yeah, I could get hurt, but I'm going to send it anyway.
That's exactly what we do every time.
Like, I feel like once you find your acceptance and then you just get that confidence to going full send instead of a half send. You never want to send a half send.
Confidence through self-acceptance.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
what it is. Never half send. That shit never works. I'm telling you.
No.
God. Dude, we need a snowboard soon.
Yeah. Listen. As I'm getting older, snowboard in the winter and golf in the summer, transitioning to an old man. Look at this hat.
He's
Look
a
at this
dad now.
shirt.
Holy shit.
I'm a golf dad.
Where's your son?
He is a golf dad.
Where's your kid right now, dude? Fuck.
No, I like golf specifically because you don't have to be too physically inclined to do it. And a lot of people, like me growing up, as I said, I was into the skate park a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I love to do. Not everybody can jump on a skateboard or a scooter or a bike or anything and just be riding around on a concrete pad, you know what I mean, with these jumps that are 11 feet tall. Not everybody can do that. Everybody can pick up a golf club and hit it.
That
The
is
ball.
true, but at the same time, while we're in our prime, we got to keep doing this shit.
Oh, I'm doing some crazy stuff.
That's not me. Yeah.
You ever, I'll connect to the people at home, ever find yourself, whenever you're trying to do something, like, really hard, it doesn't work out, but then whenever you do, like, putting a, like, little effort into it, it works out so much better.
Oh yeah, when you stop trying and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you stop trying.
Amazing.
Dude, there's a word for this. Effortless effort. So it's called Woah.
Yeah.
Woah. It's effortless effort.
I'm pulling up my golf
I feel like
score from
just
yesterday.
Just finding a word to describe that is actually just helping me understand that more. Isn't that crazy though? If you
like-
words just
Yeah. I came
Create
across
the
this
mindset.
on the internet.
I like
and
that.
I'll relate this to, like, the flow of the universe. Like, the universe kind of, like, wants you and will pull you in certain directions.
Bro.
And you just have to, like, find that wave and surf it.
Bro, the
coast
fact
with
that
it.
you were surfing the internet and then you surfed right into that what you just said.
Absolutely.
Fucking smooth
Okay, I
transition,
pulled up-
man.
The
Fucking smooth
smoothest.
transition.
It's just the flow of the universe.
Well,
I'm just on it.
I pulled up, getting back to that.
Yeah. He said.
Getting back to that though, I pulled up my golf score from yesterday, right? And for the first 4 holes, I kept looking at this course as it was cold, right? Every day, drove past it. It's right before my girlfriend's house, so I'd drive past it, and I'd look at those holes, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to play next. Can't wait to play. I'm going to do so good. And then we roll up to the first tee, and I had all this pressure on myself to do good. I was so ready to do good. And for the first 4 holes, for the first 2 holes, I went triple bogey, which is I had 7. And then for the 3rd and 4th hole, I went double bogey. And the 5th, I went double bogey.
Damn.
Then, so we're on the 5th hole. My girlfriend's like, what are you doing? Just have fun. You know, look, you're out here with your buddies. There's nothing really going on,
May
right?
I ask what beer you were on?
I didn't drink.
You didn't drink that time.
Yeah, no, that was the first
Oh,
golf
yeah.
outing
Oh,
without
yeah.
alcohol. But no, and then so she's like, look, you got, your best friend in the whole wide world right there playing golf with you. You got another one of your friends. You got me. You're here with all your friends. Just have fun. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm putting
Smoke
too
that
much
shit
pressure.
ton.
And then I hit a stroke of 3 on the 6th hole, reaching par, and then I hit 1 over on the 7th. Then I hit par again on the 8th and par again on the 9th. So I literally caught 3 or 4 strokes off of every single hole
Hell yeah.
after she told me that. And I just had fun.
That's what it
It's
is. That's what
fucking
it's all
awesome.
about.
Yeah.
If you're having fun, it's just like
You'll do so much better at what you're doing, and you don't put that pressure on yourself.
Absolutely.
You don't have people sitting there, oh, don't get hurt.
Dude, that's so fucked, honestly. And it's always from the muggles.
The muggles.
It's always from the muggles. They're always like, "Oh, you should really watch yourself. You might get hurt." Like, you don't think I haven't thought about that?
What would you guys be?
What do you mean?
Hufflepuff? You guys Hufflepuff?
Oh.
Slytherin?
Probably Slytherin.
You guys a little menace?
Slytherin.
Slytherin.
But
Uh,
so you're saying her sound waves, like, it's crazy how words have so much power that can, like, you'd go around one day, I feel like everyone should do this, it's just like out the window shout like, hey, like, your hair looks wonderful,
It's
your
my
shoes
money,
look good,
and I need it. Yeah.
like, just giving people positivity can just, you never know what, like, one sentence, a couple words could brighten someone's day up.
Not even to them, to you as well. That brightens
too.
your day because you made their day.
And
Literally.
absolutely, it's
And
not
as
about making you feel good; it's about them, and
And-
then you feel good for making them.
You feel
good.
extra.
And you said about those sound waves that she put forth my way.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about it as we were talking about words being so limiting to us and our experience, but then the meaning behind those words
The
is
intention.
really what that energy transfers, especially on positive stuff.
I feel like you definitely need to have intention behind what you're saying too. Like, you can, like, come up to someone being a fake friend, be like, "Hey, yeah, no, that was great. That was a great song." Like, blah 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 blah.
They can
blah,
see it
blah.
in your eyes.
Yeah.
They can see it
Yeah.
in your eyes.
You need to, like, really mean something. I feel like, and I feel like that just goes with being, like, a genuine person.
Straight up. Eye contact, too, apart from all that. Visually seeing eye contact, you're sending a message, you're sending an energy to the person you're speaking to.
Oh, I'm
And you're-
socially awkward.
That you're there and
No,
present.
yeah, your eyes talk. They speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, sound waves. It's weird. Everything, like, in this reality to us, like, just goes in waves. Like, our pain, we get pain signals, or at least our brains, like, pain signals in waves. We, like, feel emotion in waves. Freaking, there's sound waves, light waves, like, everything.
And we're just surfing them.
Gravity waves.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, we need to surf.
We're just surfing them.
Gotta learn to surf,
Get on that
Yeah.
board.
or you're gonna be drowning.
Catch the high tide.
Well, boys, I mean, it's 8:10. What do you guys want to wrap this up? Any other subjects you want to bring up before we
Have a
get-
shout out to Siege.
to Siege?
Shout out to Siege.
Yeah.
Siege, I don't even know.
Shout out Siege.
I'm just going to shout you out, bro. Shout out Siege.
Hey, it sounds pretty cool.
What is he? What does he got?
He's just a pal.
He's a
an old
carpenter.
buddy.
He's a carpenter like Jesus.
Yeah.
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 Could
Carpenters
be the
are-
next.
Bro, speaking of carpenters, shout out to this man right next to me.
Doing the
Just got
carpenters
acceptance
union.
letter, Carpenters
Yeah.
Union.
Let's go.
Yes, sir.
He's going to be joining y'all woodchucking motherfuckers.
No, I'm gonna be joining Jesus. Carpentry
Well,
life.
Jesus was a woodchucking, he wasn't
Whoa.
a mother.
Whoa.
He wasn't.
All right. Anyway, I'll leave
Anyway.
off with a joke. Do you guys know what kind of tree fits in the palm? Never mind.
Whoa,
I'm
what?
done. Goodbye.
Oh man. All right, I think we'll need to wrap this up there, but
Thank
thanks
you
for
for
listening.
tuning in. Stay
Thank you
tuned.
guys.
it's a heavy hitter
Love
today
yous.
for sure.
It was.
Peace.
Happy Wednesday.